Hi team. So with the emergence of new Gemini 2.0 Flash models, I wanted to explore one specific model, which is Gemini 2.0 Flash Thinking, because it's a reasoning based model and wanted to see its performance on some set of news articles, which I already performed with DeepSeek R1. So in one of the earlier video, I saw how the news as such can be reasoned with DeepSeek R1. And since Gemini 2.0 Flash Thinking at least is almost similar to DeepSeek R1, I just wanted to see how is its reasoning capabilities. And so I performed few tests. So in this video, what we are going to do is two things. We are going to just pass a news article related to merger and acquisition to Gemini 2.0 Flash Thinking, and we are going to ask it a question, and the question will be, what is the feasibility and sustainability of this merger acquisition, and wanted to see its final response. So that's what we are going to do in scenario 1. In scenario 2, what we are going to do is we are going to go much deeper. So we are going to provide it definitely a news article, but what we are going to do is we are also going to scrape some similar news articles, or I would say collect some similar news articles from Bing API. So let's say there is a merger acquisition news on some specific topic, and if we can collect some news article on the same topic to give it a broader context and see what the reasoning model applies answer, then that's what the purpose of this exercise is. So that's what we are going to do. In first, only simple news. On second, we'll have news as well as some more related news articles sent to the reasoning model, and we are going to see the response. And let's see how does the reasoning model performs. Again, the reasoning model as such, as far as I understand, is still experimental as of today, which is on 8th Feb, and definitely it doesn't go to the web as such and collect some information, not directly. So that's where we are performing scenario 2 with the help of Bing APIs. Again, you can choose any other API from which you can collect news, but for this specific scenario we are using Bing APIs. So let's get started. So before going into code details, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about brief setup. So everything that I have done, I have developed in Visual Studio Code dev container so that it's pretty easy. So once you instantiate Visual Studio dev container, and if you have Docker already installed, now again, I'm not going into details because all these steps, I will just put a link for what to do or how to configure it. But basically what's going to happen is we are going to run Docker as such, and we are going to install some specific Linux versions like, Debian or Ubuntu. And then what we are going to do is we are going to, run something pretty simple, which is nothing but a requirements.txt file where we will have all the libraries that we need installed at one place. So that's what we are going to do. And we have some specific environment file where we have placed the Gemini key. So if you use Google AI Studio, you can get the Gemini API key and use it. So that's what we are going to do. So let's get started with the code. So here is the first scenario, which is again just passing the news. So what we have done is we have instantiated, the client as such from Google Gen SDK, and this is pretty much boilerplate code that you will have to use once you use the Gemini SDK. And what is happening here is, if you see, there's one extra option which is API version v1 alpha, and this I came to know that it needs to be required when you are doing the or using the reasoning models. So basically, to cover the reasoning part, you just need to do this, and that's what we did. So basically this is all boilerplate code. You need not to do anything. You have to create a client, you have to provide API key. Again, API key you can get from Google AI Studio, so that from there you can get it. The rest is simple. Now what I did was then I formed an instruction prompt. Like I just have a simple instruction prompt that you are an expert on merger and acquisition. Can you provide if below acquisition will be feasible and sustainable for both companies? And please put only important points not exceeding 10 lines. So just I wanted to summarize, that's why I have put this instruction prompt. Again, there are some typos, but I will just ignore it for now. And the news article which I want to analyze is, Nissan Motor Company is prepared to reject an acquisition offer from Honda Motor Company. So this was news for last 1-2 months as such. It was a hot news, and just wanted to see how does this reasoning model performs to my specific question. And my question is pretty simple: that is it feasible or sustainable for both companies? Just let me know the answer in a brief 10-liner. That's what I wanted to do. And this model as such, as I said, it doesn't go to the web. It tries to reason by itself. So again, I'm not giving it a math exercise. I'm just giving it some reasoning based on the current news, what it can do. So again, this is again a boilerplate code which you need to do to invoke this model. So basically you specify a model, then you specify content where you will specify this text snippet, then you also specify instruction prompt and so on. And the answer that you want to get, you are going to get in the markdown format. So that's what we are going to see. Now there is one thing I am just going to highlight which I found. So in the UI as such, the answer as well as the reasoning process or the thinking process comes separate. But in the SDK, at least till now the SDK is pretty new. I mean, I believe this model is 3 days old. So maybe it's not updated, but whenever I'm trying, I'm not getting any reasoning. I'm just getting the final answer. So that's there. But on the UI, you can get the answer as well as the reasoning. So that's the difference. So basically, once I apply this gives the final answer. So basically, the news article is sent to this specific model with the instruction prompt, and it come with this answer. So based on the news, the acquisition faces significant hurdles and appears unfeasible, unsustainable, loss of autonomy, resistance. In short, Nissan's rejection make this acquisition currently unfeasible and likely unsustainable for a harmonious and beneficial partnership. So this is the response which it came with. The second news article is about a successful merger acquisition which already happened, which is with the TVS Holding Limited, acquiring some stake in some of other company. So basically, I just asked again the instruction prompt of whether it's sustainable or feasible. And the answer it gave is this acquisition appears potentially feasible and sustainable for both companies based on these outputs: strategic expansion for TVS, market access, financial capacity, synergy, and so on. So again, these answers to me at least theoretically seems perfect. So these are I would say very good impressive answers, and definitely it did perform pretty well on these sort of very simple reasoning jobs. So let's see the second scenario where we have more complexity, and in that case we are adding additional context using Bing API. So let's see how the answer looks like there. So here is the second scenario. So here what we are doing is we need first of all Azure subscription for getting the news APIs as such. So I'm using Bing API, which is part of Azure subscription. And what we are going to do here is we are just asking it a topic. So basically some topic goes, for example, it could be news about some specific entity, and it tries to fetch all those news. You can give the count as such: 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, and freshness, which is again give that based on month and so on. And again, it can become more complex, but basically what's going to happen is we are going to get two small description of a news snippet. So here is what the news snippet looks like. So if you give, like say, Nissan Motor Company merger, it will give you description of two news article. So that's what's happening. And similarly for some other news article, it is giving you two short description of that particular news. And this is what we are going to add as additional context. Again, we can increase this and so on. But the idea was to just see how the response looks like, and possibly just to compare how the response with only news and with some context look like. Now, here is what we have done. So basically what we have done is we are adding this news article, but before that we are also adding those two news articles that we fetched from Bing, and the whole context we are passing it to Gemini Flash Thinking. So that's what we are trying to do. And the answer it came across is based on the information of full acquisition Nissan by Honda as a subsidiary appears unfeasible and potentially unsustainable. It mentions some reason as such, and again, if I go to this as such, this is my understanding. The raw answer is like little bit more theoretical, but if you see this answer, it mentions some of the things pretty much deeply. Like for example, it talks about EV software and so on. Again, I don't know whether it has done a pretty good job, but I would say slightly the Bing part is little better, or the big answer is little better. That's at least what I see. The other thing is then again for the second news article, which was TVS holding, acquiring something, some company. I just saw like the same process which we did earlier. We just saw what's the answer. So here is the answer. So strategic expansion for T. This was the earlier answer, and if you see the new answer, it actually is almost similar as such. So again, I didn't saw much of a difference between them. Yeah, there are some differences, but those are not like very, very deep differences. So again, it seems to me that the answer is almost the same. That's what I came across. But for the other news article, which is for the Nissan merger news, the second, which is with the Bing having more context, it was providing a better results. And again, the reason we are providing a context is at least inherently this Gemini Flash model, it doesn't go to the web immediately, or there are no other ways to do it. But somehow you have to, provide your own context additionally so that it knows what extra information it has to reason better. So that is there. Now, one thing which again I highlighted earlier, I'm just going to highlight this API as such, or SD, or the set of models, I would say, were just launched 3 days ago. So definitely there might be some changes. As I said, I was not able to get the reasoning part, but maybe the reasoning part is coming. Maybe the version will change and the reasoning part will definitely be there along with the answers. So you can see reasoning as well as the answers separately. That might be coming soon. But anyways, thanks team. Thanks for watching. Bye.